Well, good evening, everybody. Well, it's just about morning. It's only about 9 minutes away, but it's since communist Governor Evers forced the mandated mask rules, stuff has been getting a lot worse. I've noticed. I was at my place of employment today, not the office here, but I was at my other job, actually getting caught up on some yard work and that. Well, they claim that you're supposed to have a communist mask on, which is AKA Antichrist mask that you're supposed to wear. And I didn't have one on, and I won't put one on. There's even other people out there that think it's just as bad as I do. But there was one person that came up to me screaming and wailing and hollering because I didn't have one on. And I'm like, what? What's your problem? They're like, well, where's your mask? And I'm like, I don't need one. They're like, well, if you don't put one on, I'm going to call the cops on you. And I'm like, first of all, where do you get off telling me to put a mask on? And I'm like, you're not even involved with this organization. You don't even work here. And you don't really have anything to do with the Buildings and Grounds Department. So go somewhere else and go pester somebody else. And then they're like, well, if you don't put one on, I'm going to call the cops. And I'm like, why are you sitting and repeating yourself? Why are you acting like the oxymoron here and telling me to go put a mask on? I'm like, Manitowoc County Police Department has more to do than to come around and telling people to put masks on. Because I was actually reading an article in the newspaper this morning about masking. Well, as you all know, Tony Evers is completely crazy. The guy is delusional. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know where he's at. The only thing he knows is public schools. And he's full of propaganda and full of communistic tactics to try to control Wisconsin. So whatever you do, don't trust the guy. He's not your friend. He's crazy. He's dangerous. He doesn't belong in office. He's getting out of control with his emergency orders. This is not a state of the emergency. This is just a ploy to get everybody to fight against each other and get everybody riled up and get everybody worked up. And so don't play into his games. He's trying to tear everybody apart, turn everybody against each other with his statements, and now like saying, I told you it wasn't a good idea to open up the state. You didn't listen. Don't play into it. Don't buy into whatever he says. A lot of your politicians in a lot of states are manipulating people by playing games like this and playing people and getting them to fight against each other. It's a scary thing. It's even more scarier than the fake pandemic itself. It could get a lot worse. I mean, there really could actually be an actual virus that gets released. There's so many hypochondriacs out there right now. And there are some that are being hospitalized, but they've been worked into such a tizzy and in such a fear-driven kind of brainwash. They imagine themselves so sick to the point where they actually get sick through fear. And then they get put on the ventilators, and then the ventilators destroy their lungs, and then they die anyway. It's just It's really getting bad. I don't care what they tell you, or that everything's fine. It's not really fine. It's beyond fine. It's kind of makes me want to have a nervous breakdown thinking about all of this. It's just it's rough knowing that there is no pandemic, but everybody around you is turning on you because you don't wear a mask, or you don't place social distancing, or you don't worship hand sanitizer or the coronavirus or the mask. And I'm not condemning those that wear masks. I'm not going to condemn them and treat them like a second class citizen for having one on. But, when you see people in their cars with masks on inside their cars, come on. That's a total fear-driven illness in a way. What I mean by illness is it's just kind of psychologically what they're doing is they're trying to brainwash the American people, but don't play into the mask thing and don't. And if you're out and about and you see people that don't have masks on, don't scream at them and rip them apart. Just because they don't have a mask on, there's a lot of good reasons for it. One, politically. Two, religiously. And three, health. Like if you got COPD or you got chronic or PTSD or you just don't want to wear one, period. It's no reason to scream and holler at somebody or threaten to call the cops on them because they don't have a mask on. In my opinion, that's unacceptable to sit and harass somebody because they don't have a mask. It's like somebody that does have a mask. I'm not going to run out my shop and scream and holler at somebody for having a mask on, but in return, don't blow up at somebody because they don't have one on. That's what I'm saying. Is it's just kind of you gotta respect those people that don't want to do it, but then vice versa. If you're really sick, I mean really really sick, yeah, go ahead, put a mask on then. But if you're not sick, you don't need one. Besides, those masks aren't going to protect you anyway, and you're not protecting other people anyway. So what good is it to get all worked up? If you truly believe in God, and you truly believe and you're not afraid, besides, if God wants you home, He'll call you home. But don't become dependent on your doctors and nurses. They're not really the true heroes here behind all this. And the CDC isn't a true hero. Any of those organizations are not true heroes. You got to remember that your military, they're the ones that are supposed to be glorified. And besides, they shouldn't even glorify your football players or basketball players or baseball. You're basically supposed to glorify and honor God. You're not supposed to worship doctors and nurses and hospitals and surgeons and stuff like that. Not only is it idolatry, but it's also a devil-conquered thing that's... You're not really supposed to worship man. But basically, if you people keep going the way you're going, you're going to work yourself into a third world country the way you're acting. And and when it comes time for election time, you're not gonna like this, but Trump is he's our only saving grace here. Biden is not gonna save us. Trump is our saving grace. He's the only one he was put in by divine intervention first time around. So everybody needs to pray long and hard. Try to turn the country around. And pray that we get the right people in office. Because when you vote the wrong people in office, especially like your state senators or state representatives, you get the wrong people and they're gonna screw you over. A lot of them, they don't care about you. They're out for the big buck, or they're out for any handouts, anything to make them popular or not. It's sad to say it, but if you truly care about your country, do the right thing, vote the right people in office, turn away from idolatry, turn to God, and that's about it for tonight. God bless everybody. Stay safe in these hard times, and we'll see you very soon.